The scouting combine in Indianapolis, the various podiums where the coaches and the GMs are talking, and some of them, when they're done or before they go, stopping by to visit with us now. The Browns general manager Andrew Berry. Playoffs, great season, exciting to watch. Look, only one team's ultimately happy, but you can still be happy about what was a very good season for the Browns. Congratulations.
No, thank you, Mike, and I'm incredibly proud of our players, our coaches, and staff. Really pleased with what we did in 2023, but now we turn the page and the focus is on improving so we can go a little bit further in 2024.
You guys realize how crazy the year was? Does it the whole organization realize what you guys went through, how you kind of finished? I mean, how you played, everything.
I'll be honest, it was a little bit of a blur, Chris.
Yeah, right.
But we always talk about that. We talk about being resilient and the fact that adversity is always going to hit, regardless of what team you are in the NFL, whether you're 11-6 or 6-11, and be really being ready for those crisis moments. And I'm just really proud of our group for being able to adapt and persevere through it, and ultimately, accomplish something that we're all very proud of today.
Yeah, right.
5 different quarterbacks starting, and November 20, the decision was made to put Joe Flacco on the practice squad. What was the moment that made you decide it's time to hit the Joe Flacco button?
Yeah, so I would say to put him on the active, it was largely once Dorian got his concussion after the Denver game.
Right.
But to bring Joe in, after Deshaun got hurt, we always actually felt very strongly as Joe as one of our top, what we would call, emergency list options at quarterback. Once we got through that week, our major question was, well, hey, I'm kind of surprised this guy hasn't been anywhere. Is he actually in shape? Does he still want to play?
Right.
So we actually brought him in for a workout. He was in great shape. He could throw he's like Nolan Ryan. He'll be able to throw the ball until he's like 75 years old or something like that.
Right.
And we decided, I was like, all right, well, he's ready to go, but let's try and acclimate him slowly. Well, that lasted 1 week, and it was like, Joe, okay, you're going to be our starter against the LA Rams. So we were fortunate that he was available. He did a phenomenal job. Kevin did a phenomenal job with him, and obviously we're glad that we signed him.
It was never any back room planned, so they kind of just all happened organically with Flacco.
Yeah, really. I like to say that it was more deliberate than that, but Joe Flacco was not on the bingo card going into the 2023 season.
That's all right. You did a lot of other things that were deliberate that were damn good.
And it was that weird period of time, too, where he was your starting quarterback and he wasn't even on the roster. Yeah. He reverts back to the practice squad, and you had to sweat it out because somebody could have come along and signed him off the practice squad.
Fortunately, Mike, we felt pretty good. Joe wanted to be with us. He had a good opportunity. He also knew that we were working through – obviously we played 5 different starting quarterbacks, but we were pretty banged up throughout the whole year. He knew it was kind of a short-term appointment. It was like, hey, we kind of need to get through this week so that we have this for the kicking game.
Yeah, right.
And then we'll get you up to the active roster at the appropriate time.
So he knew it was coming.
He knew it was coming,
right.
and we felt really good about it.
All right, so this is a weird one, right? Because the year was awesome. Mm-hmm. I know it didn't end the way you wanted to against Houston. But also, there was people like us that were like, if the Browns keep winning with Joe Flacco, they're going to make things very interesting or a lot of drama in Cleveland. Is there a party that's a little bit like, hey, I know it stinks we lost, but now it's Deshaun Watson's team, and he can be that guy?
Yeah, I think that from us, we always want to go as deep as possible into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think at times there can be a lot more external noise than there maybe is internal noise,
sure.
Within an organization. So for us, that really hasn't really played a factor into our thinking. Certainly going into the postseason,
Gotcha.
we wanted to win the game.
Yeah,
we just
I hear
did
that.
They just outplayed us.
Right.
But yeah, we're looking forward to Deshaun's return next year.
Sure.
How important is it that in year 3 with Deshaun Watson, this 5-year contract, that it all settles down? And I know that you can't control injuries, but how important is it for him to come in and have a big year and live up to that contract?
Yeah, I think we don't even think about it in terms of necessarily living up to a contract. We just want him to be available. If he's available, we know that he can play at a high level. We were pleased with how he was playing before he injured his shoulder against Baltimore. Every team wants their starting quarterback available for 17 games, and we're no different. But we really are excited about the future with him.
The team you've accumulated, right? Mm-hmm. You got studs everywhere.
Yes.
That's a credit to you. It's phenomenal. It really is. Is there one guy that maybe has surprised you or surpassed? I don't want to sit here and list everybody off because you do. Your defense especially is a bunch of all-stars almost. But anybody that's exceeded your expectations, or you were like, wow, he's been better than I even expected?
Yeah, actually, probably the one who I had high expectations for, but didn't necessarily assume that he would acclimate as quickly is DeJuan Jones this past year.
Yeah, I hear you there.
And DeJuan in particular, because he came into the league with maybe a little bit of a stigma.
So big, slow-footed. Yeah. Can he really do this?
Yeah.
Right?
And then he also had this, well, hey, look, he loves basketball. Does he really love, like, all the kind of narrative.
Yeah.
And so I'm just really proud. He had to be our starting right tackle the third quarter of his first game of his rookie year. And to see the progress that he made over the course of the season, we were all incredibly proud of him. So that would be the one for me.
Yeah, that was a pretty damn special one. That was a good one.
This is the time of year, in addition to the Scouting Combine, Competition Committee is meeting, going over potential rule changes. Teams can propose rule changes as well. Any team can propose anything they want. Sources close to me tell me that the Browns are considering something that should have happened automatically, needs to happen. Tell us what the Browns are going to suggest, if you haven't already suggested the league.
Yeah, so we did submit a proposal that would move the trade deadline back to after Week 10 games. Us and a few of the other clubs around the NFL. And we're big proponents in terms of maximizing the flexibility that teams have to build their rosters, especially as you get into the stretch run and the postseason. And to what you alluded to, Mike, there was really no adjustment with the trade deadline after the regular season expanded to 17 games. One of the reasons that we chose Week 10 was to maybe proactively correct that, but also to be a little bit forward-facing in terms of if we do come to a situation where the regular season is expanded again, we can be proactive with the trade deadline's positioning.
So it's 1 week to catch up for Week 18, and then another week in the event there's a Week 19.
No, and that's correct. And the other thing I'd add is we also were sensitive to the fact that one of the concerns that people have with moving trade deadlines is just the competitive integrity of the season, and the idea that, hey, if you have the trade deadline too late, do you have a situation where teams are offloading players or dumping players, so to speak. And one of the things that we looked at is, over the past 10 years, the earliest that a team has been eliminated
teams
from playoff
are not out of it.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Has been Week 11, and
right.
that's only happened twice.
Okay.
And by Week 10, you usually have 27 or more teams that are within 2 games of a wild card spot with 7 or 8 games to play.
Right.
So we felt like that was an appropriate marker given the current regular season schedule, potentially the future regular season schedule, and maintaining competitive balance.
We're big fans of that, without a doubt. It's
I'm a
early.
fan of no trade deadline at all. Because it's not like a fantasy football league where the dad and the son are in cahoots.
Right.
Like, if you have a trade you want to make and you're going to give them value and they're going to accept it, who cares if it's Week 13 or 14 or 15?
Yeah, we're Mike, you and I are like-minded in that regard.
I can. This is a good compromise.
Yeah.
I do like that. I really do.
Well, it needs to
we
happen.
were always
It
a
just
little
needs
bit
to happen.
annoyed with wait, why are we? These teams don't even. Let's wait a little longer and let them figure out what the issues are to their football team. All right, I've asked this of a few AFC West teams, right? I want to know your thought on this. When you think about your team getting better next year, do you think about it in totality of the AFC, or do you think about, wait, I just got to win the AFC North because if we can do that, we're damn good enough, and that'll be enough?
That's a great question. Totality of the AFC for us.
Okay.
And largely because the division is super important, obviously, but that is only 6 of your 17 games.
Yeah.
Like you have to play other teams.
Right.
And so I don't necessarily believe in building the team or building the roster that is like so tightly fitted to your division, because you are going to have to beat a wide variety of
teams. Get in the playoffs, you're going to see teams with other styles, right?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, I get that there. Yeah, I always wondered that because there is 2 schools of thought.
That's right.
Right, where you see some teams worry about the division and then other teams that don't, right? So, all right, so your team right now, we talked about super talent. Doesn't seem like you have many holes, right? But without telling us too much, where's kind of some spots you're looking to help out the roster?
Yeah. So it's no secret. We're pretty
no first round pick this year.
No first round pick, but
Right.
we're pretty pretty consistent. It's no secret that we value the quarterback position really highly, probably like all the teams in the NFL. Look, I came from Philadelphia, so we like linemen.
Yeah,
right? We like linemen.
you like big dudes.
And we like premium positions that affect the passing game. So regardless of where we are in a given offseason, we are going to continually invest in those areas because we think they have the highest impact in terms of winning games on the field. So that'll be probably a consistent refrain every time that you talk to me because we do believe it so strongly in terms of winning a championship.
Yeah, gotcha.
You got one of the great running backs in the NFL in Nick Chubb. He had the devastating knee injury week 2 in Pittsburgh. He's under contract for another year. It's a big number. We know what the running back market is. We know what it can and can't support. Where do things stand with Nick Chubb health-wise, and do you expect him on the team this year?
Yeah, so starting health-wise, Nick, he's been in the building every day. He's worked his tail off. I think everybody who knows Nick knows he has and will continue to do everything in his power to get back, and he's progressing as appropriately. It's still early in the injury, but we are optimistic in terms of his progress so far. We understand that Nick's roster status is a popular topic. I understand it's the elephant in the room, but nobody wants to see his final carry against Pittsburgh be his last snap in Cleveland. And understanding that there is potentially work to do to get to that point, but nobody wants to see that to be his last snap as a Brown.
The salary cap at $255.4. What did you expect it to be?
So I would say that was in the range of rather than I'd say project a singular number. We actually do a range of scenarios, call it like an aggressive scenario, a mid-case scenario, and a conservative scenario, and we do our planning based off of that. So that was in the range of possibilities for us, but certainly it was a pleasant surprise that the cap came in that high.
It is amazing that they kept
It's insane.
Under wraps for so long, because
It's
team's thinking low 240s.
Yeah,
right.
No, it's. I can guarantee you, there's I can guarantee you, there's no team that was disappointed with that news.
Yeah, definitely. All right, last one. I know you guys, are in analytics, right? I know most of the league is. It feels like you guys maybe are more than others.
I think that's probably fair.
Okay, all right, good. I'm not trying to,
you're fine, Chris.
say anything, but. The Super Bowl and that conversation, the overtime thing, right? We've been asking everybody because we don't think there's necessarily a right answer, right? But are those things you had already delved into and you had a pre-planned package plan?
Yeah, they are. There's something that we talked about pretty regularly,
right?
And then we talked about extensively before the before the postseason,
right?
Because the rules are different, right?
Yeah.
They're different than the regular season, and we want to make sure that the people that are making those decisions, particularly your coaching staff, are aware of the pros and cons and ultimately what our game management folks would suggest.
Yeah, got you. So you go in with a solidified plan of how you'll attack it. That's cool.
So what was it?
I would tell you, but I have to kill you, Mike. So.
You would probably like to kill me for other reasons. And you would make a lot of other people happy.
Join the list.
Including Chris. Thank you. This is great. We appreciate some of your time. Hope to do it again.
Thank you guys for having me.
Andrew Berry, Cleveland Browns General Manager. We'll be back with more PFT Live right after this. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.